I've never run a nonprofit. I've never worked for a nonprofit, but the founder, she said, "Well, I'm really looking to retire and I need somebody to take over the organization, and I want to know if you want to do it." I said, "Oh, I mean, that's a big
Just like
question."
that.
So,
She
yep,
just
just
threw it
like
right
that.
at you. I love it. Sarah, so good to talk with you today. I'm glad that those viewing this podcast will learn a little bit of your story, a little bit of the story of Lowcountry Orphan Relief and Midlands Orphan Relief. They can hear the story of both of the organization and how you guys serve two different areas. So you're calling in today from where?
So I'm calling from Charleston, South Carolina.
Great. If people have not been to Charleston before, it's a fabulous, delightful, historic city where a lot of cool things happen. So it's a
Yeah.
fun place to visit. So Sarah, you've been in the Charleston area for how long?
We've been here a little over 20 years.
20 years. So that is home now.
It is
So
home.
as we're starting out, this podcast is called Grow Healthy, Help People. It's a podcast by Quarters, a company that works with lots of nonprofit ministries, nonprofits handling back office work. As we're jumping in, tell me a little bit of the story of how you got to Low Country Orphan Relief. From I don't know what you did before this, but how did you land into this nonprofit space?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story. I've never run a nonprofit. I've never worked for a nonprofit, but the founder, I've known her for a long time. Her name is Lynn Young. We go to church together. And one Sunday, at the time I was running the children's ministry at our church, and she just kind of cornered me at church and asked if I liked what I was doing. And I said, yeah, it's great. I love it. I love ministry. And she said, well, I'm really looking to retire and I need somebody to take over. The organization, and I want to know if you want to do it. I said, "Oh, I mean, that's a big question." So, yep, just like that. So, yeah, I was just I guess within 3 months later, I talked to the board and we just all agreed, and that's how it all happened. So I have an administrative background and a ministry background. Our family lived in Guatemala for a couple of years. I worked at our church. And so those two things coupled together really just sort of led me here, and just felt like this was a calling to serve, not just the children that we work with, but the caseworkers we work with and the employees that are here. I just felt like it was important to take the skill set that I have and the love I have for people, just to be able to serve them.
Love it. So how long were you guys in Guatemala?
We were there for 2 years. Yeah, we, yeah, and we went as independent missionaries, is what we call it. So we weren't sent by an organization. It was really just God's call for us to go. 2016 to 2018, our kids were very young. They were 5 and 7 at the time. So some of the other missionaries we spoke to just said, if you're going to go, go now because they're young. It's easy. And then if you're going to come back before middle school because middle school is very hard for children to transition. So that's what we did. We went for 2 years. We worked with students who were at the time in fourth grade, and we just did Bible study and taught them English. And we actually still work with a lot of them today virtually, and just actually it became almost like a fundraising effort just to get them through school. So it was a great experience.
How neat. So not everyone watching this podcast will be a person of faith, a Christian.
Mhm.
But Sarah, you and I have a lot to talk about. We'll have to cut a lot of it out of the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
I was a missionary also in Peru, independent, from 2003 to 2005. So right after
Okay.
college, I moved to
Yeah,
the Andes Mountains, similar to you, not knowing exactly what I was going to do, and lived there for a couple of years, and still have relationships there that matter to
yeah,
me, and I hope they matter to the
100%.
folks that are down there. So do you speak Spanish, or did you guys not make the jump to learn Spanish?
Um, so I took Spanish all the way through college. So a lot of it was recollection. We did
Yeah.
3 months of intensive Spanish
Yeah.
classes. We weren't fluent by any means, but we could get by.
Yeah. It's hard to learn, and the older you get, the harder it is to learn. People go
Oh,
like,
yes. Yeah.
your kids probably picked it up like that, and you guys, as adults are
They were
going, we gotta,
speaking, yes, they were speaking with friends by the time we left, which kind of was disappointing that we felt like we needed to leave just for that reason. But
yeah.
um, yeah, you can understand it very easily. I can still read it and still hear it and be fine, but speaking it is a whole nother.
How
challenge.
interesting. I'm the opposite. I'm illiterate. I can
Oh,
speak it really well. I speak pretty much fluently. Can't read it or
okay.
write it. I just learned it, moved to the
Oh,
mountains and learned it
interesting.
up in the mountains. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. So back to the ministry that you're running now, because you and I could talk
Yeah.
about other things forever. Ministry, organization, nonprofit. Tell me about Lowcountry Orphan Relief. What do you guys do? And you said Lynn founded the organization. What
hmm
prompted her to found the organization?
So it started back in 2003. She was a guardian ad litem at the time, which is somebody who represents the best interest of children when they're in court. And so they would come to court without jackets in winter, or maybe without shoes, or if it was a toddler, they would be in a diaper. And so she just sort of latched on to these children needing essentials. They were being removed from their homes by Department of Social Services or entering into foster care, and so she really just had a heart for these children. And she started this organization out of her home, collecting clothes from friends and family. And it's just blossomed into this incredible organization that now we serve 5,000 children a year. And we provide them emergency clothing. We call them care kits. It comes with 2 weeks of clothing, shoes, socks, underwear, jackets, toiletries, backpacks with school supplies, anything they might need for 2 weeks to get by. So it's the bare bone essentials, but it's whatever they need to either go to the next placement or to wherever they're going.
Hmm, man. So these are all to kids that are in foster care.
The majority of children we serve are in foster care. We
Mhm.
also serve children who are considered at risk. So
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
just children who aren't in the foster care system, but might be on the brink because
Mhm.
neglect, so poverty is one of the biggest forms of neglect. If you
Yeah.
can't provide the basics, food, shelter, or clothing to your child, it's considered neglect. So many of
Yeah.
these other children we
It's
work
not
with
for lack of
are,
love. It's just
yeah,
for
yeah,
lack of resources.
back
Yeah.
at bad circumstances or yes, resources.
Yeah. Wow. Um, how interesting. Again, we have a lot to talk about here. My family, we adopted our youngest through foster care 2 months ago. So we've been down that whole journey of guardian ad litem and in-home workers and all the moving pieces. And what you guys do matters so much because even though there are resources and there are people that can there are organizations that'll buy a bicycle for you, and a company will donate 1,000 bicycles. There's still a lot
hmm
of just necessities. When our daughter got to us, um, she had been loved and cared for, but she was lacking in a lot of areas. And so, what you guys do is just so critically important. So, there's 5,000 recipients or 5,000 people in your programs. How do you manage to connect with and distribute to that many people? Because that's a lot.
It is a lot. We are very efficient. We're very organized. We're referral based. So we work with 60-ish different agencies who make the referrals to us. So Department of Social Services, school districts, kinship care organizations, early interventionists, anybody who has touch on these children and their situations can make a referral. And then we pack the care kit and the people who make the referrals come pick it up and deliver it to the children. So a lot of times they're already working with these families, they're doing home visits. The schools have access to these children every day. So that's how we do it. We is because and volunteers. Honestly, we have I think I don't over 1,000 volunteers a year that come through. We probably have 10 to 15 people on a daily basis who come in, sort clothes. We take clothing donations. So that's a lot of what volunteers do is sort and pack care kits.
So there's the pulling together resources side of what you do. I want to hear a little bit about how you get these resources. That's a lot that you have to get in, get it
Yep.
sorted, get it managed, and then that's a lot to get it out the door. How do people that know of the need, how do they inquire? How do they get to you? Is there a form? Is it a phone call or a
Yep.
text message? So talk about how you get the resources, and then we'll talk about how you get the items out to people.
So in terms of the services, needing our services, we have an electronic form that if people reach out to us through, it's like info@lorkids.org. It's our email. You can go to our website to get that email address, but that you can always reach out to us and just say, hey, here's the situation. I have these families. Or if you're a family, you can reach out to your school or a church. It's really just, we say referral because we want to just make sure the situation is legitimate, that these children are in need of the services and fit in our mission. And so getting the services is pretty easy. The resources, it runs a gamut of begging, really. So we do take donation drop-offs from the community. We have, it's just super easy. You drive by, you drop it off. We solicit companies for donations. We write grants. Um, we use social media a lot to get the word out. We have a good network of volunteers. We have a good network of, we call them neighborhood captains, which are people who will collect items for us. So if you can't get here, you might live close to somebody who will take it and then bring it to us. So we just have a really good network of people and ambassadors and companies, who will collect things for us and then bring it to us. So it's a big operation. It's a lot of logistics. I have an awesome distribution center supervisor who who runs it. Oh man, my team is awesome. I love my team. They're very dependable. Everybody knows what they're doing. They love what we do. Um,
So great.
so yeah, it makes my job
So,
easy.
so on the other side of resources, on the funding, like the donation side, are you guys receive any funding from government sources, or is it mostly from individuals or foundations? How do you guys
Um,
receive your funding?
Yeah, we are not federally funded. We don't get any federal grants. We stick to mostly local and state grants. Um, we have an awesome grant writer who who has a lot of connections and has been doing it for, I don't know, 10 plus years for this organization. So yeah, we do that. Donations, yeah, we do have a lot of individuals and companies who walk alongside of us. We launched a recurring donor program over the summer called the 1250 Club because the average cost of a haircut is $150. And if you divide that by 12 months, that's $12.50. And so if somebody donates $12.50 every single month at the end of the year, you will have provided a care kit for a child. So
How's that going?
it's picking up steam. It's good. We've actually, it's just not an area we've ever really focused on was donor management. Lynn was very good at fundraising and just calling companies and
Just
people, making it happen, getting the checks written. So now we're just kind of moving towards we want to have a sustainable donor base and income and revenue. So we've kind of tried to move to that recurring donor aspect.
that's great.
Yeah,
So you didn't uh apply for this. I mean, you probably applied for the job. You weren't seeking it out. You weren't thinking, I want
correct.
to run a good sized nonprofit that's gonna have 1,000 plus volunteers and board and donors and recipients. Like you didn't say, I want to have this as my career, but you've ended up in an important role leading a great organization. What's a word of encouragement you could have to someone who may not be thinking they could do exactly what you're doing?
I tell you, I mean, this is where my faith comes into place because I don't feel like it wasn't until we went to Guatemala until I really understand what it meant to be called, and to really feel like this is where God wants you. Um, I just say that God has a purpose. There's a reason why everybody's here, that you have a purpose, and there's a reason and a purpose of why you're here.
Mhm.
And I don't really feel like it was until now that I felt like it all came together. I mean, I would say within the first 3 months of working here, I felt every single job I've had. I felt every single job. So I felt definitely reassured that this is where I was meant to be. And it's just one of those things where God plants you where he wants to plant you. And if you're open to taking that leap of faith, whatever it is, because I'm sure everybody has been in a position at some point where if you've been applying for something or there's something you want to do that you've just had that doubt, like, I'm not sure I can do this. I've never done this before. I just felt like my son and I, we had gone to Poland on a trip with our church that summer. It was the last day. We were with all these families and just worshiping and singing. And it was that moment where I just felt like I have to do this. These people, I need to serve these people. And that's kind of the moment where I decided to do this. But it's just There have been many times in my life where, we felt like it was impossible or like we're not good enough. And I would say to just trust and try because God will use you in ways you don't even know are like possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I could tell you a dozen stories of my life, similar situations. It's almost like when you say, I can't do it, the Lord goes, yeah, exactly. Okay,
You can.
now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to use you. I mean, look at
Yeah,
the story of Moses. Moses' first comment was, I don't speak well. I don't want to do it. Use somebody else, God. And God said, Aaron's already headed your way. So
yeah.
get ready. I'm going to use you.
There's
So
so many people who walked alongside of me in this journey here. And like I said, the employees that I have, I mean, God has just provided everything that I've needed to get in here and be here. I've been here for about 2 years. And so I love it. I just
yeah,
love what we're doing. I love who I work with.
you are
Um,
fulfilled in the work. You love
at
it.
the
That's
end of the
awesome.
day, when it's time to leave, it's not that I'm sad to leave, but I can always think of other things that,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I need to, I want to, I need to be doing this. I want to be doing this. Um,
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever had a job like that. Guatemala was
yeah.
amazing, awesome experience. We were sad to leave, and we definitely look to the future of like, if there's any more opportunities like that, perfect. But I don't think I've ever had a job where I love it as much as I do
Yeah.
this.
I call that a get to job. You get to do that. You don't have
Yeah,
to, you get to do that. Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. So as we're kind of wrapping up our conversation today, tell me some stories of impact, stories of success, maybe even individuals that you know that been able to step in and help
Oh,
along your
yeah.
journey.
Man, some of these stories, they're sad. I mean, but it's nice to know they have caseworkers who are taking care of them and that we can just be part of their journey. Children are so resilient. So even if the situation is sad, these children, I don't know if they necessarily think of it that way all the time, because they are resilient and they're going to come out on the other side. But we had one 13-year-old who came in with her caseworker. The caseworker had worked with us as an intern, so she knew about us. She came in, and her story was that she had previously been adopted, re-entered foster care in 2023, and since that time had been in 10 different placements. And so she was getting a care kit because even when you go from place to place, they don't always pack their stuff or bring it. And so she was out of underwear, she was out of socks, she didn't have a hairbrush, just again, essential items, essential items. We had two twin 3-year-olds a couple months ago. They received a care kit and then the caseworker asked for two more. And so usually we serve the children every 3 months. So this was before that 3-month period. So we called her and we said, what's going on? And apparently those children had been returned to their parents. And when she was doing a welfare check, the parents were under the influence of drugs. The kids were sitting in their diapers. There was no food in the house. So they had to take them again out and put them back into foster care. And so they needed clothes again. So it happens. There's lots of domestic violence, a lot of drugs, parents going to jail. It just teenage pregnancies. It's just part of society, but it is a mess. But these children have people who can take care of them, and if we can just be a part of giving them some dignity, just to own something of their own again, I think that means the world to all of us here because, we'll get thank you notes or emails of just how much, especially if they put comments on the referrals of like, oh, Angelo loves dinosaurs or he loves the color blue. If you have anything like that, could you please pack it? And so we love that. Yeah, exactly. And so then, he gets that bag and she's like, oh, this was so amazing. You should have seen his face. He was so excited, and it's just, that's it. That's all there is to it. That's all we need to know. Yeah.
Well, I want to encourage you as we just finished the foster care journey. So like the last 2 months or the first 2 months, we've not had people in our home doing checking in and
Yeah.
DCS workers and agency workers and stuff. We found that there were a lot of folks that loved us and our daughter. And actually, we were like really well supported through the state, through everybody that was involved in it. But there's still so many gaps. We were
Hmm.
able to get anything we needed for our daughter, but we just saw so many folks around us. They just lacked. And so anybody like you guys that can come along and say, We're not a one-off. We're not a here's a bike, we'll never see you again. But hey, in 3 months we'll be back. And if you
Hmm.
have other needs, reach back out. We can pull together resources that you might need. That is
Yeah.
incredibly important for foster families and for kids that are in foster care, and then kids that are at risk that are, trying to stay out of the system. They're always better off with their biological parents.
Yeah.
Not always. If
Sure.
at all possible, they're better off
Yeah.
with their biological parents. But if that's not a possibility, it's great to have folks like you guys coming alongside them on the
Yep.
journey. Sarah, so good to talk with you again.
Absolutely.
This
Thank
this
you.
podcast is Grow Healthy, Help People by Cordis. Our company, we do back office work for nonprofits. So if you're watching this podcast and you have interest, I'll put our link to our website below and a link to Sarah's website, Lowcountry Orphan Relief, and also Midlands Orphan Relief. If you're in that
Hmm.
area, she has needs, so reach out to
Yes.
her for funding, for dropping off items that
Yep.
are good quality to be able to give to kids, or if you know of a child in foster care
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
that's at risk that may have needs, she would love to connect with you and be able to help in that situation. So Sarah, so
Absolutely.
good to talk with you today.
Thank
Blessings. It's
you.
been a delight to talk with you. Have a good day.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Uh-huh.